The last thing Nate Okafor's mother said before she went under for surgery was, "Don't let your brother forget to eat." Not "I love you," not "I'll be okay." Just that. The small, specific instruction of a woman who had spent 19 years making sure everyone around her was fed.
Nate was 19. His brother Marcus was 11. And standing in that hospital waiting room in Akron, Ohio, under fluorescent lights that made everyone look like they were already grieving, Nate understood for the first time that being the oldest wasn't a birth order fact. It was a job, and it had just become full-time.
Their mother, Adaeze Okafor, had come to Akron from Enugu, Nigeria in 2001 with one checked bag and a nursing degree that Ohio wouldn't recognize for 3 years. She spent those 3 years working as a home health aide, bathing strangers, changing linens, reading blood pressure cuffs in the living rooms of elderly men who sometimes called her by the wrong name. She never complained. She just studied for the licensing exam on her lunch breaks, sitting in her car in parking lots across Summit County.
By the time Nate was born, she was an LPN. By the time Marcus arrived, she was halfway to her RN. She'd done it all on her own because their father had left when Nate was 4. Not dramatically, not violently, just quietly and completely, the way some men do. She never made them feel the absence of him. That was its own kind of heroism.
Then, the January, before Nate's sophomore year at the University of Akron, a routine scan caught something in her left kidney that wasn't supposed to be there. Surgery was scheduled. Recovery would be 6 to 8 weeks. She couldn't work. She had 11 days of PTO saved. The math was brutal and simple. The bills didn't care about recovery timelines.
Nate had been studying urban planning. He liked the idea of designing spaces where people actually wanted to be. Neighborhoods with trees and transit, and corner stores that sold real food. His advisor had called him one of the most spatially intuitive students she'd seen in years. He dropped to part-time enrollment the week his mother came home from the hospital. He didn't announce it. He didn't ask for praise. He just did it, the way his mother had always just done things, as though the alternative wasn't worth considering.
He picked up shifts at a fulfillment warehouse. Night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. He'd come home, sleep for 4 hours, get Marcus up, make breakfast. Usually eggs and toast. Occasionally the jollof rice his mother had taught him when he was 12. Pack Marcus his lunch, walk him to the bus stop on Copley Road, then come back and sit with his mother while she slept through the morning, in case she needed anything. In the afternoon, he'd do his 2 remaining classes online, then warehouse again. He did this for 6 weeks straight, without a single day off.
The thing that nearly broke him wasn't the exhaustion. It was the notebook.
3 weeks into his mother's recovery, Nate found a spiral notebook tucked under her bed while he was vacuuming. He opened it without thinking, expecting grocery lists, medication notes. Instead, he found page after page of careful handwriting. Monthly budgets going back 4 years. A column she'd labeled Nate's School, with amounts circled, adjusted, recircled. A column labeled Marcus High School Fund, that had been started and crossed out and restarted twice. She had been quietly, meticulously planning a future for them for years, sacrificing her own financial cushion in increments so small she probably hoped they'd never notice. Nate sat on the floor of her bedroom for a long time with that notebook in his hands.
Mapping neighborhoods for a class project the previous semester, using public GIS data to visualize transit deserts in Summit County, areas where residents had no car and no reliable bus access to grocery stores, medical offices, employment centers. Akron had several. The project had gotten a good grade and been forgotten. But sitting on that floor with his mother's notebook, Nate thought about it differently. He thought about all the home health aides in this city, women like his mother had been, who spent money on ride shares to get to client homes because the bus didn't run there or ran too infrequently to be dependable.
He reached out to a former professor, then to a small transit advocacy nonprofit called Akron Mobility Project. He sent them his maps, his data, his analysis, formatted carefully, cited properly. He offered to volunteer. They didn't just take him as a volunteer. They offered him a 10-hour-a-week paid research assistant position, $12 an hour. It wasn't much, but it was work he could do from home during the hours Marcus was at school and his mother was resting. It fit.
His mother's first day back at the hospital, a Tuesday in late March. She came home and found Nate asleep at the kitchen table, laptop open, a half-eaten bowl of cereal next to him. She stood there for a moment, looking at him. Then she went to the stove, reheated some soup she found in the fridge, and set it beside the cereal without waking him.
When he did wake up, she was sitting across him with her hands folded on the table, waiting. She didn't say thank you. She didn't say I'm proud of you. She said in Igbo, something that translates roughly to, you have your grandmother's character. In their family, there was no higher thing she could have said.
Nate went back to full-time enrollment the following fall. His transit mapping project, expanded through the nonprofit, was cited in a City Planning Commission report in November. His name was in the footnotes. His mother printed it out and taped it to the refrigerator.
Marcus, now 12, asked him what urban planning actually was. Nate thought about it. It's figuring out why some places feel like they were built for people and why some places feel like they weren't. Marcus nodded slowly. Like our neighborhood? Yeah, Nate said. Like our neighborhood. There's no moment in this story where everything got easy. The warehouse shifts left marks under Nate's eyes that took months to fade. He missed a semester of progress toward a degree he'd worked hard for. Some of that time doesn't come back. But here's what does come back. The specific look on an 11-year-old's face when he realizes his brother didn't disappear when things got hard. That look, that recalibration of what men are supposed to do, that travels forward. It lives in the next generation. Responsibility isn't a burden you carry alone. It's a map you leave behind. And sometimes the most important thing you'll ever design is the life your little brother watches you live.
At this channel, we collect and share inspiring experiences from different families and communities. Some stories don't make the news. They happen in spare bedrooms, at kitchen tables at 2 a.m., and the silence between people who love each other too much to say how scared they are. This is one of them.